Have you ever met a child who seems older than their years? Someone who watches the world with a quiet suspicion, whose little eyes seem to notice things most adults assume are invisible. Imagine a child sitting at the dinner table, listening to polite conversations, and sensing, almost instinctively, that the stories adults tell, the excuses, the half-truths, even the just-for-your-own-good lies, they all carry a shadow of untruth. How does it feel to realize, so early in life, that the world speaks in layers of words, yet hides its true intentions behind them? A child who senses lies doesn't just see the words. They feel the dissonance between speech and reality. Perhaps a teacher praises one student in class while privately admonishing them, and the child notices the inconsistency. Maybe a parent promises something, a reward, a comfort, an explanation, but the words feel hollow, perfunctory. For most children, a lie is simply a lesson in right and wrong, a teachable moment. But for the child who knows everyone is lying, it becomes a lens, a quiet, persistent awareness that nothing is exactly as it seems. Psychologists call this heightened awareness theory of mind, the ability to understand that others have beliefs, intentions, and perspectives different from our own. Most children develop this gradually, but some develop a sharper, more acute sense early on. They notice not just what people say, but what they mean, and even more importantly, what they are hiding. This can create a paradoxical experience. The child craves honesty yet cannot trust the truthfulness of the people around them. They live in a world where words are performance, where appearances mask reality, where love, care, and kindness are sometimes tangled in deceit. Imagine a school playground. Other children play freely, believing promises that may or may not be broken. Our observant child watches. They notice the subtle manipulations of peers, the exaggerated reassurances of teachers, the performative niceties of adults. And slowly, a silent question forms in their mind. If everyone lies, then what is real? If truth is rare, how do I navigate this world without losing myself? This constant vigilance can have profound psychological consequences. On one hand, it fosters emotional intelligence, discernment, and independence. The child may grow into someone highly perceptive, empathetic, and insightful, capable of reading people in ways most adults cannot. On the other hand, it carries a heavy burden. Trust becomes fragile, intimacy becomes complicated, and vulnerability, so essential to connection, becomes a risk. Every compliment, every promise, every word of reassurance is filtered through a lens of suspicion. Life becomes a careful dance between curiosity and caution. Yet there is a beauty in this awareness. Philosophers and psychologists alike have noted that early confrontation with deception can spark profound self-reflection. The child learns to question not just others but themselves. They may wonder, am I seeing clearly? Am I being fair? Can I act with integrity even when surrounded by falsehood? In a sense, they develop an inner compass, a private morality that guides them even when external guidance feels unreliable. And here lies the paradox. A child burdened with the knowledge of deception is, in some ways, more awake than their peers. They are the silent observers, the thoughtful ones. The early philosophers of the playground and dinner table, they learned to listen with more than ears. They listen with intuition, with empathy, with a subtle recognition of human frailty. But they also face isolation. How do you explain to a world of adults and children who seem comfortably ensnared in their own small lies that you see through it all? How do you participate in everyday life when every word feels like a performance? The tension is constant. The world offers warmth and protection, yet it is also layered with pretense. The child begins to understand something adults rarely articulate. Truth is rare, but precious. Lies are common, but they teach lessons about observation, discernment, and self-reliance. The heart of this child becomes a paradoxical space, full of empathy, yet cautious, curious yet wary, yearning for connection, yet protective of themselves. By the time this child reaches adolescence, the awareness often deepens. They have learned patterns, recognized behaviors, and internalized lessons that most peers cannot yet perceive. They may become skeptical of social norms, resistant to superficial flattery, and deeply sensitive to hypocrisy. At times, this makes them appear aloof or cold, but in reality, they are constantly negotiating a fragile equilibrium between understanding others and preserving their own inner truth. Imagine a conversation where everyone nods in agreement, repeating cliches, politeness, or conventional wisdom. The child hears the cadence of lies and truths intertwined. They sense what is unsaid, what is exaggerated, what is omitted. Their inner dialogue might be relentless. Why do they say this? What are they trying to protect, hide, or control? What do I truly know? It is exhausting, this constant mental calibration. Yet it also sharpens empathy. The child becomes attuned to subtleties, the small gestures, fleeting expressions, moments of genuine emotion hidden among the noise. This heightened perception aligns with findings in developmental psychology. Research indicates that children exposed to inconsistency, deception, or untrustworthy environments often develop advanced cognitive empathy. They learn to model the mental states of others more accurately because survival, understanding, and social navigation depend on it. Yet the same skill carries emotional risk. Chronic skepticism can lead to loneliness, anxiety, and an internalized sense of alienation. The world feels both fascinating and treacherous, intimate yet insincere. There is also a profound philosophical dimension to this experience. The child begins to confront one of life's enduring paradoxes. Truth and deception are not always opposites. They are often intertwined, each giving shape to the other. To recognize lies is not merely to reject them. It is to understand the human need behind them. Lies can stem from fear, love, protection, shame, or desire. The child may come to see that deception is often a reflection of the world's imperfections, and that navigating these imperfections is a form of wisdom, not cynicism. This perspective shapes not only how they see others, but how they see themselves. They learn to question not only external narratives, but internal ones. Am I being honest with myself? Am I acting with authenticity even when others are performing? How do I preserve integrity in a world that often rewards performance over truth? These reflections forge a resilience, a quiet strength that remains largely invisible to the outside world. And yet, despite the sophistication of their awareness, the child still longs for authenticity. They crave conversations unclouded by pretense, relationships untainted by manipulation, moments of genuine clarity. When they find it, even in small gestures, it resonates deeply like sunlight breaking through a cloudy sky. They learn to cherish honesty, simplicity, and vulnerability in ways most adults never fully experience. Perhaps the most profound insight from the psychology of such a child is this: seeing through lies is not only about detecting deception, it is about learning to live with awareness, compassion, and reflection. It is about cultivating an inner world that remains uncorrupted by external falsehoods, a personal sanctuary where truth and empathy can coexist. They teach us that the world is rarely straightforward, that people are rarely entirely sincere, and yet connection, understanding, and love remain possible. So what can we learn from a child who knows everyone is lying? Maybe it is that truth is not always loud but delicate, that awareness can be both a burden and a gift, that the human heart can navigate deception with grace, curiosity, and resilience, and perhaps most importantly, that authenticity, however rare, is worth seeking, preserving and honoring both in others and within ourselves. In the end, the child whispers a timeless reminder: the world may not always be honest, but the inner compass of the attentive, reflective heart can guide us toward clarity, empathy, and truth.